You are listening to the Fine Arts Quartet play a Schubert scherzo. Incidentally, a scherzo actually means a playful movement or a musical joke. The four musicians in this quartet play well together. They are a good team. Let's see what it takes to be an effective member of this kind of a team. These are the main points to watch for. First, the techniques used in playing the individual instruments. Second, some of the ways the composer combines the voices of the four instruments to express his musical ideas. And third, how each member of this quartet team, while playing his own part, is constantly aware of the other three parts. This film will not only demonstrate techniques, but will help you enjoy music more. Let's take a look at the individual instruments and how each is played. Each is played with a bow. Let's see what happens when a bow is drawn across a string. The player determines the pitch by varying the length of the string which vibrates. He does this by pressing the string against the fingerboard with his finger. Only the portion between his finger and the bridge will vibrate. The shorter he makes the string, the higher the note. Let us leave the cello a moment and take a look at the violin. Ordinarily, one string is played at a time. However, two strings can be played melodically at the same time. This is known as double stopping. See how the player uses two fingers in various combinations. With a more vigorous stroke, 3 and even 4 strings can be played at once. This is known as playing chords. With all 4 instruments playing 2, 3, or 4 notes in various combinations, it is possible to have as many as 16 notes being played simultaneously, thus producing both greater volume and richer sound. One of the characteristics of a string tone which makes it pleasing is the effect known as vibrato. Vibrato is achieved by rocking the fingertip back and forth on the string in an even manner. This is the way a tone sounds without any vibrato at all. Now, here is a very slow vibrato. Here is the normal way of producing vibrato. Let's hear the entire quartet play a phrase without vibrato. And now let's hear it with vibrato. Notice how much richer and warmer the tones sound. As the music becomes more intricate, greater speed and facility is required in fingering and bowing. Playing a stringed instrument demands much of the same kind of mental and muscular coordination that is required of an athlete. The eyes, the arms, and both hands are used in coordination by the players. Except for minor variations because of the size of the instruments, fingering and bowing are the same for the violins and the viola. Because of its size, the cello can't very well be held under the chin. Since this is so, the large part of the box is away from the player near the floor instead of being toward him. You'll notice the position of the fingerboard in relation to the player is therefore reversed. To play louder, the player bows closer to the bridge and uses more pressure. To produce a softer sound, he bows closer to the fingerboard and uses less pressure. One must be careful in playing loudly that the bow is moving fast enough to give an even pressure. Otherwise, you get a tone that breaks. By playing notes of varying length and rapidity, the player produces varying rhythmic patterns. In pizzicato, the strings are plucked instead of bowed. Through the use of a mute, which dampens the vibrations of the instrument at the bridge, a change in tonal color can be achieved. We have observed some of the basic techniques for playing a stringed instrument. Now let's look at a typical quartet score. Here is a portion of the score of Wolf's Italian Serenade. The parts played by each instrument are shown. See if you can follow the parts as they are played. The four voices can play the same notes in unison to emphasize a single idea. Any of the instruments can play a solo accompanied by one or more of the others. The theme, like a ball, can be tossed from one player to another. In orchestras, there is a conductor. All of the players in the orchestra follow the conductor. In the quartet, while the first violin usually gives the signal to start, each of the other three players can assume leadership when his part so demands. The other players then take their cues from him. Now, as we see the Fine Arts Quartet in the concert hall, let's observe how each one of the players uses his instrument. Watch for the various ways in which the composer uses the four instruments. Notice, too, the give and take, both in leadership and in the carrying of musical ideas between the members of the quartet, as they play a portion of the finale movement of Mozart's quartet in G major.